engineering conversation and innovation. This is Schulich Connects.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Anders Nygren. I am the Dean of the Schulich School of Engineering, and it is my pleasure to host you here this morning for our Schulich Connects event entitled Engineered to Grow, the Future of Agriculture and Technology. Before we get started with the official program, I'd like to just take a moment to acknowledge that we are gathered this morning on the traditional territories of the peoples of Treaty 7 here in southern Alberta, which includes the Blackfoot Confederacy comprising the Siksika, the Piikani, and the Kainai First Nations, the Tsuut'ina First Nation, and the Stoney Nakoda, including Chiniki, Bears Paw, and Goodstoney First Nations. And the city of Calgary is also home to Métis Nation of Alberta, Nose Hill District 5, and Elbow District 6. So from the machinery harvesting the annual canola crop to sensors keeping an eye on the herd, technology is really changing nearly every aspect of the agriculture industry today. And at the heart of this evolution are engineers and industry leaders that are finding ways to make processes more efficient for ranchers and farmers. Agritech continues to advance breakthroughs, incorporating technology in just about everything from crop science to farm-to-table production. And we have some very exciting work in this field being done here at the Schulich School of Engineering. So our panel today will discuss how these advances are revolutionizing food production and having a positive impact on farmers, our economy, and all of us as consumers. So before I pass it on to our speakers, just some quick logistics. We will have a question and answer period towards the end of the program. So I ask that you hold your questions, if you have any, until then, and we'll have somebody with a microphone come to you so you can ask your questions. Also a reminder that we are recording this panel discussion, and a copy will be shared with you after the event. So without further ado, I'd now like to introduce to you Dr. Nasser El-Shimi, today's moderator. Dr. El-Shimi is a professor and former head of the Department of Geomatics Engineering here at the Schulich School of Engineering. He holds a Tier 1 Canada Research Chair in Geomatics Multi-Sensor Systems. And Dr. Killam has been recognized as a Killam Professor, a Fellow of the U.S. Institute of Navigation, a Fellow of the Canadian Academy of Engineering, and a Fellow of the Engineering Institutes of Canada. He is a leading authority in multi-sensor systems and their application in mapping and navigation systems. Dr. El-Shimi is the co-founder and chairman of Microengineering Tech Incorporated, and also co-founder of Profound Positioning Incorporated. So I'd now like to pass this over to Nasser, who will introduce us to the rest of today's panel. Over to you, Nasser.
Thank you very much, Anders, for the nice introduction. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor today to host or to be the moderator for this Schulich Connects events. We have wonderful panelists with us today, so allow me to introduce them. First, to my left, Dr. Ryan Murphy. He's a senior relationship manager at commercial financing at FCC, which is Farm Credit Canada. Right. Ryan grew up on a mixed cattle and grain farm in Bonneville, Alberta, where his lifelong connection to agriculture began. Ryan holds a BSc in Animal Sciences from the University of Saskatchewan, MSc and PhD in Meat Sciences from Colorado State University. After completing his study, Dr. Murphy moved to Beijing, right, China, where he eventually joined Big Dutchman, a German agriculture company. His career with the same companies then took him to Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, and finally to Charlotte, North Carolina, where he actually oversees similar operation for the Latin American region. Most recently, he has focused on supporting international agtech companies entering the Canadian market and helping Canadian company expand in the Southeast Asian markets. Welcome, Ryan, and thank you very much for serving on this panel. Next, Dr. Zara Abbasi is no stranger to the school. She's an assistant professor in the Department of Electrical and Software Engineering at the Schulich School of Engineering. Dr. Abbasi also holds a Schulich Research Chair and is the principal investigator at Calgary Sensor Lab. Her research has been focused on developing flexible, shipless microchip structures for non-invasive medical applications, environmental contamination, and sustainable agriculture. She is the recipient of many awards, including the 2023 Early Career Research Excellence Award and the 2023 Alberta Immigrant Impact Award for Career and Academic Contribution. She is also a chair of a big chapter here in the South IEEE chapter in Southern Alberta. So Zara, welcome. Finally, Dr. Guillaume Lermy. He's the director of the Samson Center for Agriculture and Food Policy at the School of Public Policy here at the University of Calgary. Dr. Lermy also holds an appointment as a professor of animal health economics and policy in the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine. His research interests are on One Health and infectious disease challenges, specifically the interface between animal agriculture and human health, including the sustainability of livestock systems, and in political science on controversies in the agriculture and the government of health system. Dr. Lermy currently serves as an expert in animal health economics for the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations and the World Health Organization, amongst other national agencies and NGOs. Thank you very much, Jerome, for helping us in this panel. So you see, you have a multitude of expertise from our panelists, and we hope actually to cover lots of aspects related to the Schulich Connect on engineering to grow the future of agriculture and technology. So to warm up our panel, I would like to start with a general question for all of them, and hopefully we can cover many of these questions and aspects during the next 25 minutes. So the first question is a very high-level question about technology and transformation, right? So technology is reshaping agriculture from autonomous machinery and smart sensors to data-driven crops and livestock management. So the general question is, in your view, what are the most transformative technological shifts happening in the agriculture today, and how are they changing the role of farmers, vets, and other businesses such as agri-business leaders? So maybe I will start with Zara first, and then I will ask Dr. Lermy to maybe answer that from systems and policies, and finally Ryan on the financing and adoptions.
Sure.
Zara?
So as an engineer, I see two major shifts happening. The first one being cheap and robust sensors. So now even if you have a smart greenhouse in your backyard, you can monitor the light intensity, humidity, nutrient, and in the larger scale, multi-sensory networks in the field happening and being scanned with satellites being communicated. So a lot around real-time sensing. For animals, there are now wearables being used for even food and produce storage. So it can be monitored what the condition of the storage is. For example, in a dry crop storage system, if the humidity is enough or more than it's supposed to be. So this is fascinating how it has been grown. And also with all these mostly real-time measurement approach, AI and data analytics on top of that has been very helpful to kind of manage all those data that has been collected. And we move from take a sample and send it to the lab to now how we can analyze and understand the result on the farm. And we move from, or a farmer moved from something is wrong happening now in the field without that actually happening, and acting, intervene and act proactively when they see a trend based on the result of things not being progressed as it's supposed to be. And this balance really helps the farmers as the main knowledge holders to be supported and now be the data managers and the decision makers, rather than eliminating the main knowledge holders and rely on only sensors and artificial intelligence. I feel like these approach, like these advancement can be empowering them.
Thank you, Zara.
Good morning, everyone. Maybe I would like to go back to problem setting, actually, and talk about the three main challenges that I think agriculture sector has today. So the first one is, in my opinion, the one that you see with this tractor. What's the problem with this tractor? Or not the problem? There's no driver. So the workforce is actually a problem in agriculture right now. There is about 200,000 farmers in Canada. They are supporting a more than $60 billion economy, and this population is shrinking. The second is the lack of governance in the sector. We are having a cool research project on actually fragmenting advocacy. We counted 680 registered lobbyists lobbying at the federal government for agriculture or agricultures. That's a lot of people not going in the same direction. And the third one is a sector imbalance between a very capital-intensive production and an atomicity, a lot of producers, which is not the thing that you can observe in other sectors, such as oil and gas, obviously. So two factors, in my opinion, that is linking those challenges to technology, equipment and data. And what are we doing with that? Well, first, this data-driven agriculture, and by the way, that's not new, actually. Precision livestock farming or precision agriculture started decades ago. But it's moving us from, and this is what you said, from reactive to proactive management in operations, and also along the supply and service chain. The second, this digitalization is redefining trust and governance and the flow of information within the food system. And the third is the fact that automation and decision support system are actually transforming labor and expertise. The farmers will not have the same training and education than the former farmer had. And the people working in the agri-food as a whole will be actually high-skilled workers.
All right, thank you, John.
Yep, excellent.
Yeah.
I'll start with a little background on FCC, if you're not familiar with it. So Farm Credit Canada was established in 1959 under the Farm Credit Canada Act, and its sole purpose at the time was to provide long-term lending to farmers so that they could purchase land, cattle, equipment, any assets that they needed to grow their business. And over the years, we have evolved into becoming Canada's largest agricultural lender, and with a full suite of financial products, from transition loans, interest-only payments, to long-term debt, to anything that can help with companies starting with cash flow. And now we've expanded into areas in the last 6 months that are around venture capital and actually investing into startups, as well as providing other short-term bridge solutions, mezzanine debt, you name it. So we've really evolved to try and match what the challenges are facing agriculture today. And I'll talk a little bit about, just quickly, about some of the biggest impacts that we see. And certainly AI is changing everything, and that's kind of always the obvious answer in the room. But in terms of even within our own organization, so we have Ag Expert, which is a farm accounting software program. And then now we have something called Root, which is actually being able to provide real-time kind of AI-driven answers. So you could take a picture of a disease plant and get a response, and driving that. But also other technology that we've seen, something around, there's a company out of Calgary called Visor Pro, where they work with service dealerships, so equipment dealerships. And one of the biggest challenges they have is a farmer calls them and says, hey, something's broken, how do we fix it? And so the service manager, basically on the phone real time, has to find the manual, find the service part, identify what those parts are, come up with an idea of how much it's going to cost to disassemble this machine, put it all back together. And so this Visor Pro, AI-driven, can find the manual automatically, can go back to previous invoices and find out how much it costs for something similar, and be able to provide like a real-time solution for the service manager. And it's really helping independent companies as well, because now independent dealers can work with other independent dealers, research their records, and be able to come up with a solution in real time with farmers. And so it's really empowering independent producer or equipment dealers to deal with stuff very real time.
All right, thank you very much, Ryan, and thank you for the answering. Give us information about FCC, it's very interesting. All right, so the second question, again, is for all of the panelists we have today, is about innovation and inclusivity. Okay. So I think you mentioned AI, so we know right now, AI is penetrating everything, but new technology in general, from AI to biotechnology, promise greater efficiency and sustainability. But ensuring those benefits reach farms of all sizes remain a challenge. How can we make AgTech adoption inclusive, practical, and beneficial to the entire agriculture ecosystem? And if I may ask Dr. Lermy to start, if it's possible, then I will ask Dr. Murphy and then Dr. Abbasi.
Right, so technology is everywhere in agriculture. There may be some breakthrough, obviously, but the breakthrough will likely come from other sectors and then will trickle down to agriculture. Funny story, not so long ago, somebody from Quantum City here at UFC asked me, well, we need to talk and you need to explain to me how can we use quantum in agriculture. I say, no, that's the other way around. You need to explain to me how we can use quantum in agriculture. What I mean is that agriculture is an economic sector where you can apply tech like in every other sector. The challenges are the same. You have challenges to develop drugs, herbicides, pesticides, antibiotics, for example, to treat livestock. You have supply chain challenges, logistics challenges, sensor, drones. So those are the exact same challenge that you will find in health, energy, and agriculture. So that's a given. The question is, why don't we push more investment in agri-food rather than in other sector? And maybe, Ryan, you will actually take a crack at answering that. I would like to give a farmer's perspective, actually. We don't need more complex stuff. We need to build capacity. And we need to make sure that those techs are achieving something for somebody. And the somebody is, mostly the producers and the society. Greenhouse gases emission reduction, fertilizer use reduction, herbicides reduction, for example. Meaning that we need to target goals. And those goals need to be set at the same time by the producers and the society. So it's actually a very political question, or policy questions, and programming question. To support producers' activity, we also need to make sure that the technology is adopted. Meaning that we need extension services, people that are able to explain what's the ROI of those technology and how it works. Because buying something is one thing, using that is another thing as well, you see? So if you have the fancy machine that is able to, make sure that you are fertilizing this square meter at this level rightfully, but you don't use that and it's parked in the barn, then what's the value of that? So we need to think about that. And the second thing with that is obviously making sure that those systems that are being developed are interoperable. Because if everybody is developing its own system, and for good reason, mostly from a business reason, then how on earth can we aggregate those data and make sure that we are advancing the sector at the same time? Because we need to report, and we are an export nation, we need to report how good or how sustainable our agriculture is. So making sure that at the beginning of our thinking, we think collectively and not as single individuals.
Thank you.
Right. Excellent. So FCC has like three main areas of focus, and that's around innovation, sustainability, and partnerships. And so around that innovation, we also recognize the importance of inclusivity and diversification, and we understand like the future of Canadian agriculture isn't going to look as it has in the past. And so we really put a special emphasis on women, minority-led and Indigenous businesses, and making sure that we provide them the support and the access to funds that that can ensure that they're successful in what they do. And so in terms of inclusivity, there's really two areas too that we recognize that are very important, and just making it accessible, like the technology and innovation accessible to farmers all across the country. And one of those is the Innovation Farm Network, which is 19,000 acres all across the country. And that is for companies to come in and test their technology on real-world scale, because there's a vast difference, I'm sure as you guys know, from what's done in a laboratory or in a research center or in a little plot to what is actually done in real-world application. Like Einstein said, in theory, practice and theory are the same. In practice, they are nothing alike. So companies can come, test their technology, and farmers can see this technology on a commercial scale and really understand how the technology works, and then understand if it can solve their problems. Because the biggest deterrent for farmers to adopt new technology is the risk. Will this product solve my problem? And what is the risk if things don't go, or if things do go sideways and they don't solve my problem? What is that risk? And so we're really trying to de-risk things, and we have that also through different incentive programs. So we have the Innovation Farm Network, and we also recognize the role of early adopters and champions for this new technology. The new term is influencers, but certainly farmers are very likely to trust other farmers. When they look over the neighbor's fence and they see them doing something different, they'll ask them, what are you guys doing here? How is this technology working? Because they know their neighbor doesn't have an agenda where they're trying to hit a sales target or trying to sell them something. So they really trust farmer-to-farmer conversations. And so we really try and facilitate and find those early adopters and champions who can support.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Zara?
Sure. So usually the technology development happens or led or start by big tech companies because of their major research and development funding. And if we're not careful in translating those scale of tech development to a smaller scale industry and farms, there will be created a very big inclusivity gap. So that is an important aspect to look into. To not have the technology being kept inclusively by capital-rich investors. The other thing is trying to develop user-centric solutions for the farmer. So, for example, as engineers, if you're working with a farm, it's important to understand what are the challenges week to week, what are the current system that is being in place, and what is the problem with that, without proposing a totally new firmware and hardware and software solution. Let's first try to integrate with what they have in place and what they are comfortable with, because there can be a training gap, there can be some labor shortages and financial problems that might not be inclusive enough to propose to totally change all of those. And another important direction I see to improve inclusivity over time is by introducing and by involving the next generation of people who are going to contribute to this technology, which are the current students, in my case, engineering students. So it's really important, even in a classroom projects, now we see more capstone projects or grad student projects that are in totally different fields. For example, in my case, my students work on wireless communication, and introduce to them what agriculture, what applications of agriculture they could support with, and raise the question for them, and start building the knowledge for them to start focusing on. Because this will create a level of security for the future to rely on the knowledge that we're developing now, and by introducing the problem to them, by inviting farmers, active industry partners, they will understand what is the technology now is being suffered from and how they could contribute.
Thank you very much, Zara. I think we have time for another general question before we move to the audience. And this question would be about sustainability. As we all know, climate change resource constraints and food security pressures intensify, how can engineering, policy, and financing work together to build a resilient and sustainable agriculture system? And maybe if I could ask Ryan to start first, is it possible?
Yep. My pleasure, yeah. I would begin with farmers are stewards of the land. Healthy crops, healthy soils, healthy livestock grow and produce. And certainly farmers look at their land not just as a piece of dirt that they work, but certainly as part of their legacy that they can pass down to generations of their own family or to other farmers. And so sustainability is something that farmers take very seriously, even if they don't recognize as doing so. And so no-till drilling, which is where you just don't work up the soil, but actually plant the seeds directly into the soil. Farmers have been doing that for ages before it was regarded as a sustainable practice. It made sense because it reduced the amount of time in the field, the amount of equipment you needed to have, fuel, labor, all those things. So it made financial sense as well as produced a better crop and reduced soil erosion and other issues. In terms of supporting sustainability, there's two programs that FCC has. One's called the Sustainability Incentive Program, where we actually offset the, the Sustainability Incentive Program incentivizes farmers to continue to adhere to what they're working on in terms of sustainability. So there's a couple programs that we have with the Dairy Farmers of Canada and Starbucks, where based on how the dairy farm produces in terms of their herd sustainability metrics, as well as their environmental standards, which they have to be audited with, it will give them a financial incentive, and then Starbucks will actually match that incentive for the farmers, for those that are the highest performing, as well as the most improved. And so that's because Starbucks recognizes the importance of sustainable agriculture and for their shareholders and customers. And another program we have is with Ducks Unlimited and PepsiCo, where there's something called the Marginal Areas Program. So it incentivizes farmers to take marginal land out of crop production, plant it to perennial forages, so forages that come back every year, to support ducks and waterfowl and vegetation. And PepsiCo will match that incentive as well, up to 50%, to encourage farmers to continue that practice. And then a third area we have is something called the sustainable, or second area, is the Sustainability Capital Investment Program. And that is where FCC will offset part of the cost for adding in this new technology onto their farms. So that could be around manure injection, agrivoltaics, which is having solar panels in fields, as well as biodigesters turning manure into natural gas. And so FCC will help offset some of that capital investment to encourage farmers to invest.
Thank you, Ryan. So Zahra or Guillaume, if you have anything to add?
I can offer a couple of comments that are mostly actually international, I would say. And so that's not a question for engineer. I'm not an engineer anyway, so I cannot answer this one. But let's think about that when you want to execute sustainability or sustainability policies. The first is that here in Canada we are surrounded by competitiveness at all costs. Down south and further north, if you go to the other way. Meaning that there is always a trade-off between competitiveness and the fact that you are actually sustainable with the three dimensions of sustainability: economic, social, and environmental. So there would be trade-offs. So what are we doing with that? Let's just take the example of greenhouse gases emissions. The agri-food sector globally is accountable for roughly 30% of carbon emissions. You would say that's a lot. Well, maybe. That's actually one of the sectors that is making the most progress in terms of greenhouse gases emission reductions. At the same time, only 3% of the finance is actually of finance towards reducing emissions is directed to the agri-food sector. So that's virtually nothing. Going back to the Maslow pyramid, well, we need the shelter first, and then we need food. afterwards, maybe we need to transport, we need leisure, we need phones, etc. So maybe this 30%, actually, I wouldn't say that it's justified, but we cannot put the pressure on only a fraction of the population when actually we all collectively behave unsustainably, maybe.
Thanks, Guillaume. Dara?
So for me, for sustainability in agriculture, I see engineering, policy, and finances being like very interconnected, and it works for sustainable agriculture if all three of them work in the same direction. So for example, engineering, the goal for that is develop the tech, provide as much as data that could be decided on, provide as much as information, and then this could be supported, this could be a support for policy development because it is providing measurable data that rather than qualitative information that if a business is following policies, there can be rewarded or supported based on those measurable data and how it could be improved. And then with these models and this technology that is being developed and how they're following the policy development around it, it's going to be supported by finances in the way they actually need. And because their performance, like depending on how they're performing, the finance or financial support allocation to them could be adapted. And this is the way I see how they can be supported the best.
Thank you very much, Zara. So in this, rounds of questions, we have covered technology, transformation, innovation and inclusivity, and sustainability. So I think I'd like to thank, Ryan, Zara, and Guillaume for the excellent discussion. At this part, of the Schulich Connects, we're going to take questions from the audience. So you will have a mic, I think. Is that right, Julius? So please, if you have any questions, either it can be general question or it could be directed to one of the panelists, feel free to start. Please.
Thank you very much for...
Can you put the mic?
Yeah. Thank you very much for knowledgeable insights on different questions, and I really enjoyed this event to connect people. My question is about exactly connecting and interoperability and data sharing, especially in Alberta, which has a strong pocket for innovation. We have different startups, different companies, sectors involved. So what do you think that finally we need as a platform or like as a mechanism to enable this interoperability between different sectors for data sharing especially? That is one of our challenges in research for smart ag.
I can take a first crack at this one. A platform may be needed. The question is for what, you see, and so for whom. Somehow, some agtech companies would say, well, we already have actually zillions of data, and we don't need another platform that where other industries or governments or academia will come and use our data. Then it questions the for what. And in my opinion, actually, this platform is an opportunity to report and disclose practices so that you can access to capital, for example, to nudge towards more sustainable agriculture. If you are able to disclose what you are doing, then it's easier for some people and say, well, I'm okay to subsidize your production or the way you produce, such as regenerative agriculture, for example, or organic, whatever we decide collectively.
Anybody? I can go next. Yeah, I'd be happy. So the Innovation Farm Network is certainly a solution or part of the solution to that question that you've asked about data platform and data sharing. So it's 19,000 acres. Olds College, just outside the city, was the founding partner of that, and now Lethbridge Polytechnic. There's organizations in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, all the way out to the Maritimes. And it's so technology can be used in multiple locations, and then that data is collected and collaborated on and researched and analyzed by all the partners that are involved, as well as new technology coming on board. And so it really allows apples to apples comparison of that data that is coming in, because Olds College, for example, has made a focus, as much as they are focused on agriculture technology, they've really emphasized about data-driven decision making. And so it's consolidating that data and how to get that data into the hands of farmers and teaching its students to really understand how to analyze and synthesize that data so that they can come up with recommendations that go across platforms, because certainly that is a challenge.
Right, Zara? Okay, thank you. Next question. Can you introduce yourself, please, also?
Good morning. My name is Ann McNabb, and I'm fifth generation. My children are sixth generation agriculture, 150 years in the valley. We found that, farming is very intensive, and it's made a huge difference. My son-in-law uses all the technology, and it made a big difference. My challenge on the livestock side to be sustainable, and maybe you have got a network, we are now challenged by gravel mining in our area, and we have to be very proactive in water monitoring and projections of what impact. So do you have any technologies that you've developed that would help us make sure that our water, our valuable source, is sustainable with some of the new technologies?
Thank you. Maybe
Very interesting question, thank you. So around different department and faculties at the Schulich School of Engineering, we are developing different types of hardware for nutrients or like different element concentration monitoring in water, depending on what is the range of concentration you're looking at and what is like the target element you're looking at. Definitely it should be something we can chat about. And for example, there are on the electrochemicals colleagues that are working on the concentration that you can detect with those technology could be lower with a better resolution. But if you're looking at both lower concentration and higher concentrations, there are other technologies like microwave sensors that could help. So I would be happy to chat after this as well about the different available technologies.
Right, thank you. Next question. Oh.
I have a question for you, and then I'll get it over to you. Hi, my name's Scott. I work here at the university. Over the next couple decades, we need to grow an enormous amount more food in the world. You know, we've all heard estimates, maybe 50% more food over the next 2 decades. My question for you on the panel is, what kind of a challenge is this? Do we have the technologies today that we need to do that, and we just need to deploy them, or do we need new breakthroughs and moonshots to do it, and if so, which?
Thank you. Ryan, or?
Yeah, I can start, yes. So certainly we recognize the challenge and understand not just the challenge to grow more food, but to do more with less. And certainly as the number of farms decrease, farms get bigger, then that provides its own sort of challenges. And so FCC is evolving very rapidly. I mentioned earlier that we've now expanded into venture capital in supporting startups. Traditionally, we have invested in different funds that have supported different technologies. And now we're starting to make direct investments into specific companies if they meet criteria that we're looking for. And not necessarily what we're looking for, but just have the technology that we think can be really disruptive and really advance agriculture. So we're trying to evolve to match the challenge that is ahead of us. And we also recognize the importance of more value-added agriculture in Canada. So capturing that value here, rather than exporting the raw commodity, having it processed somewhere else, and then buying it back at 3-4 times the price. And so the best I can say is, we're evolving to meet that need and making sure that we have the flexibility in the products that we offer so that whatever the situation is, we can match it with the financing or the investment that they require.
Okay. Yeah, John?
Yeah, I would offer a comment, threefold. So first, some technology we have. This cow is now bigger than this tractor. We may be able to do that with gene editing, but CRISPR is there already. The question is how the society will actually be comfortable with using that or not. So that's a policy question. Some technology we have, but we may or may not have access to. Starlink, for example. You see, maybe some people will decide that actually you cannot use this technology, and this one is there. And some technology that we may not have, I was talking about quantum, that we don't know what's the potential actually. We all believe that there is, a lot of people believe that there is a potential, but we don't know what is this potential. And of course the question is, will we make sure that there is an access for everyone to this potential? So those are policy questions.
I have a short comment. I think regarding the future of food security, waste management is very important, and I think technology can really help to reduce the waste on the food in transportation and in the storage, because there's a lot wasting in that now, and the combination of sensor networks and AI has been starting to take off to show how, like even in the transportation truck, in the transportation freezers, how the condition of the food is happening. So hopefully we can reduce the waste as well to contribute to that.
So we have time for just one short question, if there is still one from the floor. I saw two hands. Yeah, so we can take here.
I kind of wanted to, okay, there we go. I kind of wanted to ask, why do you think the innovation in ag tech is a bit slower than other places? Because AI has been making waves in obviously software and healthcare, robotics, what else can I think of? But in ag tech specifically, it's been really slow. Like whenever you go to a tech conference, there's maybe one talk about ag tech or none at all. The only time I did hear about it was at a First Nation conference that I went to, and that was more about like land and stewardship. So why do you think that technology is slower in this industry compared to other ones?
Good question. You know, anybody can.
Yeah, no, a valid question. I think there's some very good reasons for it. One, the expectations of VC money into technology around agriculture doesn't work. It takes from the day a cow, like a calf, is born until it's slaughtered for meat, for example, is about 24 to 30 months. It's just too slow. Like, you know, in Canada, you have one crop cycle per year. South America, you can have two. You can plant crops back to back. Chicken can grow in about 30 to 45 days until it's ready for harvest, and then swine about 180 days. And so when you talk about those timelines, you have one crop cycle per year. You have one chance to make it. And if you're going to try and promote technology to a farmer, you need to do it at the right time. It can't be during harvest, it can't be during seeding, it needs to be during winter. And it's not just show up and here's the technology and accept it. It's prove it to me. And that's where the Innovation Farm Network becomes so important, and also farm-to-farmer conversations, because then they can start to implement that into their plans. And so the expectation of rapid adoption and rapid return just doesn't work. Because at the same time, okay, you have a solution, but every solution also creates new problems. Like what, sorry? Clean energy? Right. Yeah, it could be, yeah. So I think that's like the biggest restraint is just like the production cycles and then the aversion to risk, because it's a lot to ask a farmer, invest in this technology and hopefully it will solve your problem. And so, it just takes time.
All right, I think this is a perfect time to end this conversation and to get into the final formalities of today's event. I would like to take this opportunity to thank so much Ryan, Zahra, and Guillaume for coming today and sharing your thoughts and expertise. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to moderate this discussion. I would like now to send it back to our Dean, Anders, for some closing remarks.
Well, thank you, Nasser. And thank you, Ryan, Zahra, and Guillaume, for this very insightful panel discussion. And thank you to all of you in the audience for taking the time to join us this morning and take part in this discussion. I know there were a lot of questions. I think there were some that we didn't get to, so hopefully our panelists can maybe hang around for a few minutes after if you have burning questions that you'd like to discuss one-on-one. For those of you in the audience, you will receive a post-event survey in the coming days, and I hope you'll take the time to complete that. We do value your feedback, always exploring ways that we can improve these events and enhance our engagement with you, our community. Our Schulich Connects season will resume in the new year, so keep an eye on the email for announcements of upcoming events. They will be shared with you once the details are available. And until then, if I don't speak to you before the holidays, have a wonderful holiday break, and most of all, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to this Schulich Connects. We'll see you next time.